Hello and welcome to the N4 CB10 Cash Receipt Deposit. The purpose of this training is to allow supporting documents to be uploaded for a transaction and to use the N4 process automation feature for our business flows. This course is to walk the user through the entry of non-accounts receivable deposits in the cash ledger using screen CB10. The N4 system uses a mechanism called intra-company balancing. As a result, the cash side of the entry does not need to be entered in the system. There are certain exceptions to this rule, such as movements to record transfers between unrestricted and restricted cash using a journal entry, and movements between the Treasury and outside bank accounts. Any questions pertaining to the intra-company balancing should be directed to the Yolo County Treasury Office. The new CB workflows are as follows. There will be a new upload feature that allows attachments to be added to the CB entry. The user will trigger the workflow by clicking on Release, listed under the Action drop-down menu. Transactions will route to First Stage Approver, Department Approver, based on username who triggers the workflow. The first and second stage approvers will receive an email that a transaction is ready to be approved. There will be 2 email reminders at 72 and 120-hour intervals if no action is taken, including holidays if on the weekday and excluding weekends. Transactions will sit in Approver's in basket until action is taken. No timeout escalation process. The initial email will contain the transaction header and line details. CB10 transactions will stay unreleased until approved by final approver, who is Treasury. After Treasury approves, the system will then release and post the transaction. The CB10 workflow diagram begins with the originator. The finance staff will go ahead and release the transaction to trigger the workflow. It will then go to the department fiscal approver. At that point, they will either approve or reject. If approved, it goes to the DFS Treasury for approval. Once Treasury receives it, they will have the option to release and post the transaction. If at any time within this process flow it is rejected, it is sent back to the finance staff to re-enter correctly. From the home screen, enter CB10. Once you get to the cash receipt deposit screen, you will notice that there is a cash code is the first item on the list. Click on cash code. You have a multitude amount of accounts that are already listed in your system. Currently, our current Yolo County Treasury account is U683 for U.S. Bank, named County Treasury Account. Click on that. Departments should inquire with Treasury Department before using the other cash codes. The second item on the list is the transaction code. If you click on transaction code, it will bring up a menu of transaction codes that can be selected. For this training, we are using Deposit Treasury Counter. The deposit number is automatically populated, so you leave it blank. The receipt type is selected based on the type. In this training, we are selecting Manual Receipt Type. The deposit amount is entered. The deposit amount should be the net amount and should only include the total of cash and checks. This excludes credit cards that are being deposited. For this training, we are using $10. As soon as you enter the deposit amount, your cursor will move into the deposit date. This you leave blank. If another date is needed, the deposit date can be edited. Note: if you need a specific deposit date to post the cash deposit to the General Ledger application, click the Post Date button. Here, you can define a new posting date on cash receipt, post date CB10.2. Once in the post date CB10 screen, you could add the exact post date you need for the transaction. I'm going to select today's date. Click on the pencil so the system takes the specific date. It will automatically take you back to CB10 screen. Here in the description, I'm going to add check number 12345. I would like to add a note here. If the deposit is related to an expense refund, please include the following descriptive detail to track it back to the original transaction. We want to see the refund, voucher number, and the original date of the transaction in the description. If you could please include that so that it's easier to find the refunds when we're reconciling these transactions. For now, I'm going to go back to my check number 12345. My company is going to be 1,000. At this point, if the transaction is a deposit, click on the Use Your Field tab. Treasury requires departments to enter the cumulative total for cash, check, and credit cards in the user fields. In the user field screen, user field number 1 is not for departmental use. This field will state in progress when the transaction is triggered for approval. User field number 2, enter the total cash and total check amounts. Here I'm going to add check amount $10. User field number 3 is used for credit amounts, and user field number 4 you can leave blank. Go back to your main screen. At this point, we can click our Add button up on the top of the screen, the plus sign. The system will transfer you to the cash receipt entry screen, CB10.3. Here you will have the ability to add, change or delete the company, a cash category if one exists for your department, and the amount. What we do here is we add, and because we don't have a category at DFS, I'm going to add the $10. And I'm going to click More for posting of my account. When I click on More, it'll take me to the GL date CB10.4 screen. Here I add my accounting code 01001011233910 with account number 404190. Here we click on Pencil. It will send me back to the cash receipt deposit screen CB10.3. And again, at this point, I click Pencil again for change. My change is complete. At this point, we go back to the main screen. You will notice that the changes we made created a deposit here. And it also gave us the deposit date we assigned it. Here on the main screen, click on Inquire. After clicking on Inquire, you will see the Upload button. Here it is. Departments will use the Upload button to upload supporting documentation for a cash book transaction. The recommendation is to save your scanned files in your departmental S drive per your department's electronic file management policy. The Upload feature will capture a copy of the file to upload while leaving the original file intact. Click on the Upload button. This takes you to the MHC Document Express Upload screen. A generic cover page will appear that lists the transaction code, the bank institution code, and the transaction number. When you see this cover page, it means there is no attachment for this transaction. Click on the Upload button and find your scanned document. The file you uploaded will replace the generic cover sheet. You can also add note and attachments. Once complete, you can simply close the screen to get back to the CB10 screen. I'm going to add a note here. Save. It is important that the user selects the correct file to upload. The upload feature allows a user to upload a file one time per transaction. Departments must contact DFS if the wrong file is uploaded, or if you need pages to be added or deleted. Now that you have added the attachments, you are ready to send the transaction for approval. Click on the action and select Release. The release function in CB10 is a trigger to start the workflow process. Clicking on Release does not change the CB transaction status from unreleased to released. The transaction is only released and posted after Treasury approves it. Once the approval process is triggered, you will see the words "In Process" in the User field here, located in the User field tab, noting that this transaction has begun the new workflow process. After the user submits the transaction for approval, the approvers will receive an email that a deposit has been submitted and requires approval. The email will contain the body and line details. The final step is for Yolo County Treasury to approve the transaction in order to release and post the transaction. This is only after the transaction is approved by the department and the backup documentation is submitted via email or dropped off at the Yolo County Treasury office. If you have any questions regarding this training, please send an email to generalaccounting@yolocounty.org. If you have any questions regarding Treasury details, please send an email to treasury@yolocounty.org. Thank you for your time.